What are the set of questions that you need to ask yourself before choosing acting as a profession? And it would be great if you can break it down for girls and boys separately, considering that both have such separate journeys in this profession, whether it's related to the age or gender, everything's so different.
Yeah, no, that's a very valid question. Actually, nobody's asked me this question before, so it's nice that you thought of it because it's a very, very valid. I feel the first and foremost, which doesn't apply just to acting but art in general, is, are you okay with living a life of uncertainty? And that's the first question anybody needs to ask themselves when they decide to become an actor or an artist. Because in any other field, the growth is marked quite clearly. I mean, of course, you need to be good in your field to climb the ladder as it has been set. But that's not how it works in art. You may be the most talented person on this planet, but your journey may be 10 times more difficult than somebody who's not as talented as you. So I feel destiny plays a huge role. And also, it takes a long time to figure out who you are and what your space is. So all of these things, plus especially in acting, the demand-supply ratio is so skewed and so off that there are 10,000 people or 30,000 people applying for the same job, which doesn't happen in many fields. There are hardly any fields where there will be 20,000 people applying for one job, or say 20 lakh people applying for one job. So that happens more in acting. So the probability of you succeeding is much lesser in acting than in other fields. All of these questions are important. That, am I okay with waiting 10 years before I can make it? Am I okay waiting 5 years, 10 years, 7 years before I get established? And you'll never, और उसकी भी guarantee नहीं. Exactly. Like in any other field, you know कि 5 साल दिए तो आप कहीं पहुंच जाओगे, 10 साल दिए तो आप कहीं पर पहुंच जाओगे. ठीक है, वो मुझसे ज़्यादा talented था. That person reached ahead of me, but I'm also somewhere. But in art, you may not reach anywhere. So that uncertainty is something that people are not prepared for the day they decide to become an actor. Because you see, everybody is just in their head and living in their own world in their head. And they went to the big screen and they watched an actor, they watched a performance and did something to them, and they're like, this is what I want to do with my life. But it's that connection is important, because it's not that that's not important. But that connection alone will not tell you the reality and the time and the effort and the destiny and blah, 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 blah that it takes for you to also reach somewhere someday. But you see, acting is not just about becoming a hero or a heroine. I mean, that's how it starts for everybody. Nobody moves to the city to become a character actor. Right. You move to the city to become a leading actor or a star or whatever. At least that's how it begins. But very soon you realize, and some people have awareness right from the beginning. Okay, I can't be that. I'm very sure. So I have to find my space, and they find their space. But with 90% people who look decent, who think they look decent or good, they're always vying for the lead parts. And you do need actors of all ages, even in the protagonist or primary characters. So as our stories, as our storytellers, our filmmakers, our directors start getting better, as our platforms, our studios, our producers are willing to explore stories which are away from the norm, the more parts for women and even for men, they will be written differently. And so that shelf life wala will only get better, I think, with time. In acting, a lot of things are dictated to you how it should be done. And you may not necessarily agree with how it is being dictated, but that's the job. The job is that if there's a director who's the captain and the director is dictating how things should be done, then you can obviously discuss, but eventually you have to give in and you have to do justice to what they are saying, how it needs to be done. So you need to be very collaborative as a person.
You need to have a collaborative mindset.
Yes, you need to have a collaborative mindset so that...
But is that a question somebody would ask themselves in their teens when they're deciding?
No, it's not. But now that we're discussing, now they can think about this. Because now if you're listening to this, ask yourself this question, that are you a person who will be flexible? Because if you're not, then you're going to have difficulty in this field. So another way of putting this is, if you want to be an actor, already start becoming a person who's far more collaborative, a person who is a team player, a person who likes to come along with people and create things and not work in isolation. So working in isolation is good for writers or editors or other fields that we have, other vocations we have in our field. But as an actor, it just won't work.